the investment of a big campaign donor. She'd given $2.8 million to Republicans since 1998, and that included $130,000 to the school's superintendent himself. From Florida, which has spent literally billions of dollars on charter schools, we learned the problem that comes from turning schools over to for-profit management. And that's been a problem in several schools, including Ohio, Pennsylvania, and several others. In Florida, they have kept school districts from policing the schools, the charter schools within their boundaries. In fact, Miami-Dade County found it was powerless to shut down the Blair Language Academy, even when the charter schools management was supplementing the money it got from the state by using that building as an adult club for boozy parties with women in thong bikinis on the weekend, and with 9 7th graders, their classroom was a storage shed. And if you want to see the flyers, they're great, but you have to be 18. From Pennsylvania and many other states, we learned the problems that come from lax oversight of shady real estate deals involving charter schools. It's one reason with the industry, in addition to hedge fund managers, most interested in charter schools is the real estate business. Here's one way the scam can work. There was a fellow named Vaughn Garagian, and he had a building that he owned, he put on the market. A non-profit organization bought his building for $50 million. All of that was funded with municipal bonds. So the taxpayer was on the hook for that. That organization then leased the building to the charter school, which by some strange coincidence hired a for-profit management company run by none other than Vaughn Garagian. So not only did he make money off selling the building, but he was making money every month from running the charter school. You will not be surprised that Mr. Garagian is a big campaign donor. He was the biggest donor to Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett. And if you think education doesn't pay, that's his Palm Beach mansion. It's worth $84 million. He's got another one in Pennsylvania, but it's not quite as nice. In other cases, the real estate scam works like this. The charter school and the real estate company work in tandem. The real estate company buys a building for not a lot and then rents it at an exorbitant rate to the charter school. Again, in Pennsylvania, this was another case. There was a string theory as a charter school in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, that paid more in rent, as you can see there, than it spent on teachers' salaries. They were so pressed because of their rent that they ended up dropping French classes, creative writing, and bus service, because they couldn't afford it anymore. Independence Charter School bought an old elementary school, so the public had already bought this school once. They paid $18 million for it, using a municipal bond, of course, so that the taxpayer could have the privilege of paying for it yet again. This happens in numerous states. This is not just Pennsylvania. By the way, Pennsylvania, like Ohio and Florida, is a hotbed of charter school scandals. 19 of Philadelphia's 84 charter schools were under investigation in 2011. That's nearly 1/4, and that's only 1 year. So from Florida and Ohio, we also learned about how having elected officials, agency chiefs, and their families using their elected and appointed positions to advance their and their family's charter school business interests. And that's been a particularly big problem in Florida. That's the, I can't remember, he's the state Senate Majority Leader or the House Majority Leader. Oh, so he's the House Majority Leader, sorry. In California, we learned that students in what happens when students in charter schools do not have the same rights as students in public schools. A judge there ruled that students in charter schools do not have due process rights. Why not? Because they always have the option to go back to the public school, where once again they have all their civil rights, including their due process rights. This is like saying, you know what, in Louisville, you don't need your civil rights, because you know what, you can move to Shelbyville. Well, you'll have them again. By the way, this is why the committee feels so strongly that any charter schools established in Kentucky should have SBDMs. Those are school-based decision-making councils, as well as open meetings and open records. We learned something from Massachusetts and New York, and that is what happens when schools are allowed to cherry-pick their students and reject students with disabilities, English language learners, and students with ADHD. In one charter school in Massachusetts, the senior class had half as many students as when they were freshmen. That's because they spent their time pushing those students out, and the charter's not required to replace them with other students. One Boston charter school had suspended 60% of its students, clearly an attempt to persuade their parents to enroll them someplace else. In New York City, charter schools are just 7% of the school population, but they're 42% of New York City's suspensions. Increasingly, charter schools across the country have enabled the resegregation of schools, making a mockery of Brown versus the Board of Education. The UCLA-based Civil Rights Project examined charter schools in 40 states and the District of Columbia in 2010. As you'll see, 70% of African American children in charter schools attend a school that is 90% black or greater. That's twice as many as in public schools. Half of Latino children in charter schools attend a school where the student population is 90% or more Latino. These are a lot of pitfalls we've gone over, and schools aren't like, private businesses. When the Samsung Galaxy Notes started blowing up, a few people were burned, a lot of people were frightened, but the damage was not long lasting. When charter schools blow up, at best, children lose years of instruction. And at worst, their life chances are totally ruined. We like to say that we value children. This is our time to show we need it.
It'll be easier for everybody to hear.